guys. So at least as part of this week's video, we are started on the bed for my Dodge. I mentioned it in one of the last videos, but it's time to get this thing going. The weather's going to be changing for me soon. I need to get this done, and then we need to get the bed off of that, get this fitted to it, because I need to paint that when the weather's good before the humidity gets too high. I don't have a booth. I'm going to have to just rent a inflatable paint booth, and that's not going to be humidity controlled. So I need to be able to paint that when we got a little bit of control over our weather. So what needs to be done on this? We got a lot of work up here to do. Need to get that off. This whole panel needs to come off. It's rusted down here. I have some 16 gauge in there to replace it. I think I'm going to get some strap materials and replace these verticals. Not too worried about the horizontals. We'll clean them up, and then everything will get repainted. This support down here is rusted out, so I've got another one. It's sitting right here. We'll replace it with. That should be the majority of the work up front. Underneath, we're going to get rid of these supports, and I'm going to put some actual body mount style ones in there, similar to what I did on the rat rod. And then over here, this door has apparently at some point been ripped off, so we're going to build a new one to match the other side. Some of these holes, we're going to fill them in. Same thing with some of these down here. Going to fill them in and only run one set instead of the three. Back here, I need to fix where that bumper is. I've got the material, it's in the Connex, but I do need to get this sitting on the truck first so that we know where my hitch is, and then we need to get all that integrated and tied in. This hole up here needs to move. It needs to move back so that it centers my gooseneck hitch. Right now, it's really off center, so I'd like to get that changed around. We're gonna weld these shut. This is where the fuel used to be, but I dislike the idea because if I've got anything up here, you can't get to the fuel. Looks like this must have been on either a dual tank truck or a DEF truck. But at any rate, we'll weld them closed and be done with them. Got a couple of holes to fill here, there, there, there. We'll get all them filled in. I don't need this to be perfect. I just want it to be good. It's going to be fine if it's a little on the rougher side. And then we'll clean it all up. I may even sandblast it. Oh, speaking of that, we got a little bit of body work to do to it. I got a couple of dents and dings. We'll get them knocked out best we can. And then sandblast it. I want to paint match the sides to the truck. The headache rack and the bed and the back will all be done in black bed liner, much like we always do with our truck beds and whatnot. And that's just durability and to hide some of the welding and different things that are going to be done to it. And again, doesn't need to be perfect. I don't need it to be brand new. I just want it to be in good shape and be serviceable. So that's what we're doing. So let's get to it. All right, made good progress. Didn't take that long. I love these cutting discs. I get them from Empire Abrasives. They're called Blackhawks, and been using them for a couple of years now, and they really hold up well. It took me 2 to get through that, but I'm not gentle on them. Really go to town with them, and they hold up just awesome. But at any rate, we're gonna have to go back. We got to grind off the welds where the stitch welding was done, get it back down to smooth metal, get this cleaned up, get these edges cleaned up. I got to decide if I want to take this panel off. It's not on the other side, but I don't want to scar this up too bad. So I don't know, maybe we'll leave it. You won't notice it from side to side. And then I need to get underneath. We're gonna have to support it differently. And then I gotta look and see what it's gonna take to cut this piece out without making everything underneath it too floppy, that kind of thing. And then we'll get the other one cut and weld it in. And then once it's welded in, we can start working on getting the back panel put back in. We'll cut the new one, get the back panel back on it, and then I think we can go to town up here, get these done. So let's get to it. All right, this is an update on where I'm at. Burned my finger, my thumb, because I'm an idiot. Grabbed the metal I was grinding right after I ground it, and it was hot. So yeah, there's a stinger. But so I've got these lower panels cut at the bottom of the beam. This is the beam I need to replace. And then I'm going along finding all of the stitch welds up in here with the grinder and the cutting wheel, and cutting them at the stitch weld so I can get all that removed. Once I do that, then I will go along with the blade and get underneath this piece between this one and that one and get them cut apart again, and they should be stitch welded. And so once we can get that cut off, then I'll take and go underneath here, probably with the plasma torch, and get all of these welds cut. And then this piece should come right out. Once that piece is out, it's just a matter, we'll cut the new one, slide it in there, use the clamps to clamp everything up and get some welds on it, and we'll have that replaced. And then I'll clean all of the outside up, and we'll put the new panel back on and get everything welded. And at that point, we can start working on doing the body work and getting that door done. I'm probably gonna have to wait a couple of weeks before I take the bed off the truck. I need to use the truck to go on a wheeling trip, I believe, at the end of the month. This is about mid-month, I want to say. Today's the 14th, February 14th, so happy Valentine's Day. Of course, by the time you see this, it'll be way past. But, so I gotta kind of wait for that. But we can do a lot of the other patching and holes and getting dents knocked out and stuff in the meantime, until we pull that over and get it stripped down so that we can start test fitting the bed. But that's where I'm at. So let's get on it. All right, we got everything cut out. So now I need to go in with the grinder. I need to clean all this up, get us some clean metal. Up here is gonna be tough. I'm gonna have to get the wire wheel out. It smells kind of like fiberglass resin. I'm guessing it's Bondo though. But we'll get the wire wheel out. We'll clean it all up. Have to get underneath it as well. All these have to be ground off, the old welds. So lots of time doing that. I've got some in the back to do as well, but for now we'll get these all cleaned up, get the edges done, and then cut the new piece in, weld it in. That'd be the easiest part. Getting it cleaned up is going to be the hard part. So let's get on that. All right, good progress is being made. I've got things pretty well cleaned up. Got all of our edges as ground as I'm gonna do it. It's not necessarily perfect, but a lot of these I'm gonna be re-welding over it. I just needed it flush. We needed the old paint off. I'll probably hit it with some rust reformer before we weld anything. And I got all of that Bondo or whatever, not all of it per se, but 99% of it off. I just used the wire wheel and the needle scaler. I've got a few areas here in the middle that it's not perfect. Not too worried about that though. I'm not necessarily welding in that far. We got down there is somewhat cleaned up. Oh, these GoPro GoPro 10, I think it's 10 and 11, have issues where they'll be going along and they'll have 40-50% battery. I've even heard of 60 and 70%, and then they're just shutting off. And it's something with the software. It's not a mechanical problem with it. I got dirt all over my face. I've been wearing a mask. Oh well. But anyway, all right, so needle scaler, got most of it off, not too worried about it. I got little areas under here to clean up still. We'll hit them with the wire brush. And but I've got this piece cut. I need to clean it up just a smidge. It's been sitting out, so we'll hit some scale off of it, and then I can tap it into place, and then we can pull the welder out and at least get it all tacked in. And then from there, I'll need to cut the back piece and get it put in place. Now I have a feeling that a lot of this damage was caused by having a fuel tank sitting in this area and leaves and stuff getting behind it and sitting there, and then water and all that getting on top of it. I haven't decided if I'm going to run a fuel tank. I may. It'd be nice when we go wheeling to have, you know, 20-gallon tank or whatever sitting there that I've got gasoline that I can just pump into the buggy and not have to carry a bunch of fuel tanks with me, or fuel cans. Wouldn't be bad to have one with me, but rather than carrying, I typically carry like 4. This would be a little bit easier, safer, that kind of thing. Or I could put it up there and have extended range on my diesel. Although I kind of think that's a waste. I typically got to have a bathroom break usually before I run out of fuel anyway, so an extended break or extended duration ain't gonna help me. But at any rate, let's get the final cleanup done, get this piece tacked in there, and go from there. All these GoPro 10, I think it's 10 and 11, have issues where they'll be going along and they'll have 40-50% battery. I've even heard of 60 and 70%, and then they're just shutting off. And it's something with the software. It's not a mechanical problem with it. I got dirt all over my face. I've been wearing a mask. Oh well. But anyway, all right, so needle scaler, got most of it off, not too worried about it. I got little areas under here to clean up still. We'll hit them with the wire brush. And but I've got this piece cut. I need to clean it up just a smidge. It's been sitting out, so we'll hit some scale off of it, and then I can tap it into place, and then we can pull the welder out and at least get it all tacked in. And then from there, I'll need to cut the back piece and get it put in place. Now I have a feeling that a lot of this damage was caused by having a fuel tank sitting in this area and leaves and stuff getting behind it and sitting there, and then water and all that getting on top of it. I haven't decided if I'm going to run a fuel tank. I may. It'd be nice when we go wheeling to have, you know, 20-gallon tank or whatever sitting there that I've got gasoline that I can just pump into the buggy and not have to carry a bunch of fuel tanks with me, or fuel cans. Wouldn't be bad to have one with me, but rather than carrying, I typically carry like 4. This would be a little bit easier, safer, that kind of thing. Or I could put it up there and have extended range on my diesel. Although I kind of think that's a waste. I typically got to have a bathroom break usually before I run out of fuel anyway, so an extended break or extended duration ain't gonna help me. But at any rate, let's get the final cleanup done, get this piece tacked in there, and go from there. All right, it's Friday at about 4 o'clock-ish. I've already done a little bit of cleanup, but that's because I ran out of welding gas. You know, welding store closes at 3:30. At 3:45, that's when you run out. That's the way it goes. No big deal. I got most of the important stuff welded. It's welded down both sides and across the back. The corners are welded, both sides. So I need to weld these to there, here and there. Probably do it from the other side so I can clean it up nice. And then I need to go along and stitch weld this to that. And that'll basically take care of that part. And then I need to cut out the backer that goes here and then weld it. And then we can start on the rest of it, which we've already gone over. I've got a door, I've got the back piece, all that good stuff, the gas fuel or the fuel fillers, lots of holes, and I got to deal with these. I was looking at them and I realized the way these are slotted in, I was hoping to just remove these, and while I can take them out, I don't think I can put them in. These, in the way they did it, these went in second. They welded in the uprights and then slid these in and then welded them. So I might just have to cut all of it out, remake these, and then put those in and then weld them. Not a big deal, more work, but such is life. I'll use a Sawzall or something to cut it off, and then I can just use the grinder to clean it up, and we'll just weld in the gaps. So, or I could buy all new. That's a lot of metal though. Probably just stick with cleaning up the verticals, the horizontals. Probably number them first, and then clean them up, remake the verticals, and then just put the whole thing back together. It's probably what we'll do. All right, guys, we are probably a week later for me. I've been working on the cheap truck back here in the background. Picked that up for a really good price. It's a 99 GMC 2500 Sierra. Got the 6.0 4L80, 241 transfer case, I believe. Not the greatest of axles, just the 9.5 up front, 10.5 semi-float in the rear. But it's in pretty good shape, all leather, heated seats, all the good stuff. It's an SLT. And yeah, so something that I bought. We're putting some parts in it, and then I'll drive it for a little bit while I paint the Dodge, which we've talked about, the Ram that we're doing the bed for. While I'm doing all that, my main truck is down, I'll drive this, and then that one will be sold. And if I can't get my money out of it selling, then may part it out, or we may turn it into, you know, back half it, two buggy it, and rock it. It's that cheap. So, but let me show you what we got going on with the bed. So we've got all of this in, which I believe we left off with. And then right now I've just got me a piece of 1-inch clamped up here, and we're getting ready to install the back plate. This just kind of keeps things from falling out the front of it. And so let me set you down, and then I'll show you what we got. All right. So since I'm working alone, I've tried to do a couple of things to help me get this fit up here a little better, a little easier, since I can't hold it all, do everything. So I got me a center line, got it marked on the body itself. Now this is center, so I just line all that up. And then I pre-staged some clamps around here on the corner. Of course, they're not tight enough. It's always something. All right, so I will go around now. We'll use a clamp. Once I get the edges tacked in, we'll use a clamp to hold it tight, and I'll go through and weld at the locations that are tight. None of this is perfectly straight since I did freehand cut it with the grinder, but I'm not too worried about it. It's going to be behind the truck. It'll be covered up. You won't be able to tell, and I'm lazy. I could probably try to straighten it out, but be a huge amount of time and for something that really isn't going to matter. So we'll get that done. And then from here, once this is welded in, I need to cut out my door skin for over on this side. We'll be having to go over to my buddy's shop. He's got a finger brake, so I can get that bent. I don't believe I can do it on mine. I think it's going to be too wide. If I can, I will. If I can't, we'll have to go over and use the finger brake. And then we've got some welding down here to do, and I gotta, at some point we'll have to put this on the truck, and then I'll make the side skirt pieces that are gonna hide the gap between the truck body and the bed, because it's gonna be, you know, 3-4 inches, just the way the back of the bed curves like this, or the back of the body curves like this, and then this is straight. So when the center point is, when you set it, it's the 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches or whatever, but then because of that curve, you end up being pretty severe at the edges. And I want to hide that and make it line up a little better. So we'll get that. And I need to cut this out and then go get the strips so that we can get it all looking a little better and remake these upper ones. So I think get this welded on, we'll get them cut off, and then get started on the rest of it. Let's get going. All right, what was, what is, and what will be time. So, gotten the bit done. We got some of the plugs in. I got to go through and grind them up. So for some strange reason, I was able to do 8 of them. There's a total of 16 that need to be done. But for some reason, some of them are a lot larger than the others. About 1/8 inch larger, and so my plugs won't work. I was leaving a gap all the way around so I could get good penetration on the weld, and so now I got to go and cut the top row all the way around. I think what happened is, I think this bed has been on at least 2 trucks, I know for sure. The original one I suspect was not a Dodge, then it was put on a Dodge, Ram, whatever. And I think in the process they changed up the lighting some as well, and so maybe originally it only had 1 light in the front and the back, then they changed it to 3 in the front, 3 in the back, and so the original holes were a little bit larger than the second ones they cut. It's just a guess, I don't know, but hey, it's logic and it works. As you saw in the time lapse, we were cutting out the hinges. I've got new ones to weld in. I do have the new door over here. I've got to weld up the corners, and then we got to cut in the new handle locations. Other than that, I've been working on beating out some of the dents, in, out, whatever they need. I got the back cleaned up a bit. So we got a lot of the grinding back here done. I still need to cut this piece off, and we got a little bit of metal work to do to get things bent out. I got to fix this corner, so we got to cut a piece and weld it in there. But yeah, just more of the same. It's not super exciting stuff, but it needs to be done, and so let's keep moving. Guys, as you saw from the time lapse, we got the old bed off. It's now sitting over there, and we got the new bed on. So progress is being made. Now I'm underneath. We're working on getting all the body mounts. There's 4 per side. Got to get all of them done. We have to get the all the new gooseneck stuff welded in, having to change all that up. We'll get into that in greater detail later. And we got the rear bumper stuff to get done. But let me take you underneath. We'll show you the body mounts. Real straightforward and simple. So I'm just using the same stuff that I used with the rat rod. If you watch that video, I bent them. These ones are bent a little bit different. One's in a 90, one's not. This one bent them just short of a 90, and I get them up there. We got holes drilled in them for the bolts. I'm gonna weld the nuts to the bolt, and yeah, should work out good. So once again, we're down on the ground. Now the back ones, I'm gonna have to do something different there, but it'll be similar to those, just a lot smaller. The mounts are further apart, wider, or narrower, I'm sorry, they're narrower. So they're further underneath this frame. But game plan is to get all the mounts tacked in, and I'll pull it off. We'll weld them both sides of each point where they have contact. That'll make them good and solid. And then from there, we can start working on all the other stuff. And then once we get all that done, it'll be time for sandblasting, painting, which at that point, the truck will get painted as well. And then we'll be almost done with it. Certainly be a lot closer. So let's get on it. All right, guys, so we're continuing on. We were just talking about body mounts, and now I'm making templates for the rear. I just showed you the fronts, but just something real simple. These are basically just like the fronts, just a little bit smaller because they mount up a little bit differently. So did the old CAD, cardboard aided design. Now I'm just gonna lay them out on here. I'll trace them out. We'll cut them with the plasma. I don't think I want to waste all of the cost of using grinding, or not a grinding wheel, but a cutoff wheel. And so we'll lay them out, plasma torch them. I'll do them a little bit large so that I can clean them up nice. And then we'll do 4 of them. We'll bend them over on the brake, put them on the body, and then I'll mark the holes, drill the holes, then we'll put them in, tack weld them in place. We'll tack weld the nuts because I'm using captured nuts on these. I don't want to have to put a wrench on them anytime I take this on and off. And then, yeah, then we can move on to doing bumpers, the skirting, finishing the doors, all that good stuff. So let's get on it. All right, update of what was, what is, and what will be. So got the bed off of the truck right now. We need to do some cleanup. These are the old mounts for the gooseneck, so they need to be cut off. We're gonna build a new one that ties into the flatbed. So I got 4 of these to cut off. Need to do a repair in here. This needs to be welded. You can see here it's loose. So I'll have to do that while it's off. Oh, I'm gonna tell you this now, and then I'm gonna forget to do it. I need to switch these around so the nut is on this side, the bolt's on that side, so that when the beam of the flatbed is here, I can get these out and change my shocks without cutting holes and stuff. So I need to do that on both sides. I need to clean all this back up here. I got to get the grinder in here. I just cut it off the plasma and real quick, didn't worry about it. Should probably clean all this up, make it look a little better. Doesn't have to be, it's going to be hidden. I've been busy. I welded this one, the one behind it, as well as this side. I got all of these welded as well as the nuts. Just need to clean up any of the, not slag, but what you call them, dingleberries. Need to get all them cleaned up. And then I've got a bunch of stuff in the back that needs to be cleaned up so that I can weld the new hangers on, body mounts, hangers, whatever. Guess they're body mounts. So I've got all of these made, but now I need to clean up along the frame of the flatbed to get to them. There's some metal in the way, some different things like that. So get under there, get that done. Then I can set it back up there, finish weld all of those, and as well as their nuts, and that will take care of the basic body mounts. Then we'll get into the rest of making it pretty, and well, the main one, which will be what we're going to do with our new gooseneck mount. So let's get on it. All right, everybody, so been busy. Did, as you saw in the time lapse, was doing some plasma torching, some unwelding as they call it, and then I went and we ground things up, got everything cleaned up, got both sides of the frame done, got back here done, and I got underneath here and got all back in there done. So now we are ready to take this, put it over here again so that I can do the 2 rear mounts on both sides. Still need to switch the bolts. One of these days I will remember to do that, probably after I have the bed on permanently, so there'll be that. But let's get this thing set back up there and get the rear mounts welded. All right, so been doing some work. I didn't film like I probably should have, but got a lot of the back done. This was some 2x6 material that I'd bought just for this purpose, capped it on the ends, and then just welded it in place. It's not perfectly even. The way they built this bed, there's a C-channel frame back in here, and they took this piece and it came down and was bent, and then these pieces were welded on. So I would have had to have gone in and removed everything below this and messed with it, and I just really didn't care that much. So once it's run aligned and everything, you may notice it, you may not, but at the end of the day, it's just a work truck bed that I'm trying to make look good. It's not a show truck. This thing is going to get worked and used. It's going to be all beat up and banged up. Not hopefully horribly, but a little bit. So the things that we're working on now, we need to get the rear camera mounted. This was originally in the tailgate handle. Of course, we don't have a tailgate handle anymore, so this needs to get mounted. I think I'm going to mount it in right about here. Then I'm going to make trim this down, bend it, and weld it in to provide some protection. And then we got the ADAS units. These are the backup alarms. And so we need this is a 3/4 inch hole that we got to drill, and then we'll have to do some studs, maybe some spacers to get it mounted where it needs to be. These are 1 1/8 inch hole. I got to measure out where they go, but they're going to go something like that, and one over here, and then we'll have to go on the bottom of this and cut some openings so that we can access the wiring and whatnot for those units. But that's what we're working on today. And then from there, I've got a pretty good idea on how we're going to handle the gooseneck mount. And then we still got holes to fill in the bed, and we got to do all of our front work for aesthetics. But it's getting closer. I mean, every little bit. Oh, back here, also need to address this. So this is the hole that accesses the rod, the actuator rod for the spare tire carrier. I don't think it's in quite the right place, so I need to measure that out, make sure that it's level and at the appropriate angles. If that's not the right one, we're going to fill it in and drill a new one, and then add a piece of tube just to whatnot, give you some support when it's in there, that kind of thing, something like that. But that's what we're doing, so let's get on it. My boy Ronan, he's off to school. Gonna learn him something, fill that brain with knowledge. Say good morning.
One of those. Good morning.
All right, I got 2 of the holes done, so we're halfway there. As you see in the time lapse, we was drilling away. What you didn't see in the time lapse, and I'm not going to show you, is the 45 minutes I sat looking at Facebook on my phone. but that happens. But let's show you what we got. So the way I do this, I like to drill a hole first. It just keeps me, I tend to drill through, catch the bit, bend everything. So I drill a 1/4 inch hole first rather than using this one. And then I drill the proper size hole. And then what I'm having to do, so these have a top and a bottom. The bottom has these 2 little locating tabs. You probably can't see them. But there's one there and one right there. And what I do is I put these up there like so, and I mark them with the pen. And then I take a file and I get in here and I get a mark started. Then I take the body saw and I work it and get them deeper. Then I come back with the file and I widen them out. And once that's all done, then this will slide in nice and easy. Now, it won't lock right now, so I've got to take, this metal is a lot thicker than the bumper that comes on the truck from the OEM. So what I got to do is take a razor knife or something, measure back from this face a little over 3/16 of an inch to accommodate that lip, and use probably a heated up razor blade so it'll cut through this plastic real easy and real accurate. And then that should let it lock in. So you can squeeze this in like so, it'll lock into the metal, and then you can take the ADAS unit itself and push it in, and it locks in with these tabs right here. If that doesn't work, then I'll just use some hose clamps on the back side, and once this is in, I'll put a hose clamp on it up tight against the face, and that should hold it in place. Barring that, we'll glue them in, but I'm pretty confident that the lock tabs will work. The other things, I've got 2 problems that have arisen. One, before I go too much farther, with these being enclosed, I've realized I can't get in there to get to the wiring harness for these, to install these or install the wiring harness. So I was thinking about just cutting a hole out of the bottom, but I may go ahead and just cut a big section out of these. I really don't need it. I mean, it's plenty strong sitting like it is, and can always use the metal elsewhere on another project or something. It's not like it'll go to waste. And we'll leave the end caps, but so that's what I'm thinking. And then up here, this hole, because it's double thick, this will only go in from this side, and it needs to sit flush. So what I'm gonna do, I gotta go on the back side. I think I'm gonna weld one of these back in so that I got something to give me a center, or close to center. And I'll go in from the other side with a larger hole saw and cut out the other side of the metal larger than this one, so that this will then sit in there flush, and then we'll work on getting some mounting studs in it. So I think that's where we're at. Let's get on it. Update. So my plan here did not work out. Too much stuff is in the way underneath. So I'm gonna wait until the bed comes off so that I can get in there and get a better visual of it. I think I'm probably gonna have to do some cutting with the grinder and whatnot to get done what I need done. So not a big deal. In the meantime, I made this little piece. It's gonna get welded here once we get everything done, and that's just to protect the backup camera. I got my new hole drilled for this. This is the connection, or the rod that lowers and raises the spare tire. So now I'll make a plug for here, and we'll clean that up a little bit with the burr bit first, and then I'm gonna weld that shut. And then I think from there, we're gonna move to the gooseneck hitch. We'll get that done. Then I can move forward to the body panels up near the front, and then it'll be just a matter of body working it. And oh, we got the doors to do, the door cables. I got a list here. I always have a list. So ADAS is done, other than modifying the plastic pieces. We got to put cables on the doors. Camera's almost done. Shock bolts, those are easy enough, and I can't do that until it comes off. The gas fill, that's the one I keep forgetting about. Got to do a gas fill. We need the louvers and an opening for the third brake light, and then the body work, which is these parts up front, and of course grinding and everything, all the welds smooth. It all has to be sandblasted. Some holes filled in the deck. There's lots of little holes that need to be welded shut. So yeah, lots to do. So let's get on it. All right, guys, we're back at it on the dually, working on the gas fill system. This is just going to set right back in here. Gonna go ahead and try to use the original plastic cup, and it'll go something just like that. And then I'll build a cover over the back of it out of 16 gauge to protect it from things slamming into it. You throw something up here or drop something, you don't want it smashing into this tube, and it'll make it look a little neater. And then on this side, I made myself a paper template. I did my old crayon rubbings, which if you've watched my channel, you've seen me do that a couple of different times. And I used that to trace it out on here. And I don't want to cut it quite that big initially. So I found a disc and made my hole just a little bit smaller. So we're going to cut this hole out first and then work it in till I get the right size. Then we'll drill the 3 holes for the screws and install them. And we just need it big enough for the hand to fit in there, and grab the cap and undo it. And then once that's done, we'll build the back for it, and then I'll have to figure out the hosing, which I have a feeling will be a combination of the original stuff and then some short pieces of hose to connect up here where we cut it, just to give it the proper bends. And then I might have to build some kind of support that hangs from the bed to keep the hoses from flopping all around, you know? So that's where we're at. I'm gonna get the plasma out or cut this hole. The plasma's not the best choice, but I don't have a hole saw that big. And so we'll cut it with the plasma. I probably have to do some grinding and filing and stuff to get the edges right, but such is life. So let's get on it. All right, so it didn't take as long as I thought it would, but I used used a combination of a die grinder with the file bit, my actual angle grinder, and a half round file, and a little bit of back and forth. It is not a perfect circle. It's close. There's nothing super major, but it's really, I mean, it's a little noticeable, but it's good enough for what I'm doing. I have a feeling with everything else behind it, you're probably not going to notice. And if you do, well, yeah, it wasn't perfect. So now it's time to go ahead. I got 3 holes to drill so that we can mount that to it, the fill that is. And yes, I can reach my hand in there and undo the gas cap I already checked. So let me get that mounted and then we'll make the back. All right, fuel fill is in. It's all welded up at any rate. Didn't come out too bad. Other side, I don't have the internals in it. I need to bead roll part of it, and I need to order the hosing, and then gonna have to take it out for paint anyways. Although I probably do need to put it in, and I'm sure I need a bracket of some sort underneath, and I need to do that before I paint. So I probably need to look at that. And I probably need to do that before I take the bed back off, now that I think about it. But we're gonna switch gears, and I'm gonna make the gap fillers. So I need this curve right here. So I think we're gonna do my favorite thing, and I'm going to get some paper out and get my crayons out and do a rubbing, and that'll get me that front curve. And then I can come over here and using that same piece of paper, get this line. I want to say it's 35 inches, something like that, from where I'm going to go up here all the way down to there. And with that other curve, it'll follow this line. I just need to set it about 1 inch off. And hopefully these don't take that much to make. We'll see. There's a couple of different curves going on there that could end up being problematic. We'll see. So let's get the paper, get our curves made up, and get them transferred over here and see how it works out. All right, so my plan worked out about like you'd expect, which is not at all. So that kind of worked out at any rate. So the paper was too flimsy, so I added me some paint sticks and made it stiffer. And then the red line represents the edge of the bed, and the black line is where I'm gonna make my cut. And I did that by, I just took a piece of foam and taped my pen to it, ran it up the edge, and basically got the same reveal all the way through. So now I'll cut that out, and we'll probably double check it. And then I think we'll transfer that to some steel and go from there. I should be able to start fine tuning it after I get that part done. So yeah, it'll work out. There's probably a couple of bends in there that might give me a little trouble because this tilts in, so I'm gonna have to put a bend right in here. But we'll cut it just a smidge large and then trim it in. And hopefully both sides work out the same. I do need to probably double check that. So yeah, let's get on it. All right, so we got the initial piece in. It's not horrible. Let me back up a little bit so you can see it. So we got a little bit of a gap problem here, and the reason being is that on the bed itself, you don't have that curve, or you don't have the fold back like this is necessarily. It's more vertical this way and doesn't fold back. So that's changing where it's hitting on here. So it's kind of proper, not proper, and then a little bit better. So I'm gonna have to take some out of the middle here to get this gap a little bit closer. Obviously you can see I was trying several different lines, and then for some reason I'm crooked up here. I think that's again because it folds back, so I'll have to trim that. And I intend to add a piece that goes in here and follows the curve of the cab to kind of maintain this gap going all the way around. And so I got to cut this out. We need to measure the middle and see where that is and follow that curve, see if we can't get that filled in as well. And then down here, I'm gonna take this piece, we're gonna make a piece here, we're gonna take it all the way forward like this. So we'll go from there to there, and that will let me one, make this so it doesn't shake, it'll be solid. And then the other is just gonna make this all look correct, and it won't look like quite the add-on piece that it is, but that's what we're doing. And then of course I'll have to finish weld it, grind it, smooth it, all that good stuff. But a lot of that's going to happen when I get the bed off of the truck. And then once we get it off the truck, we'll finish these. I need to finish all of this stuff up here, and gooseneck hitch. We still got the door straps, their cables to finish, and then all the body work, all the sanding, body work there. Lots to do, but we're getting it done. So let's get on it. All right, update time. So as you can see, the bed is off, and I went ahead and basically we're finished with the truck itself. I got the back side of my mounts. These are for basically to give me the rigidity and strength for the gooseneck. When I get everything else in here, there'll be 3/4 inch bolts through these holes, bolting the truck to where the gooseneck mount is, and then those are 1-inch bars going across, 1 inch thick, and that'll give me the stiffness up and down. It'll all be fully welded to the bed. Those will give me the strength without having to rely on just the 8 bolts going to, you know, through the bed frame. So between all of it, I'm pretty confident we'll be plenty strong enough. Back here on the bed, once it came off, I drilled that hole that we talked about, and I got the eyebrow and everything on there for the rear view camera. And I've been working up front, and I'm getting a little frustrated, I have to say. So my idea, I wanted to give some depth to my pieces here, my gap fillers, and I was going to weld in a piece on the back, but I'm really kind of concerned. I'm not having a good way to weld it from the back at all. And so while I can weld it from up here, when I grind it smooth, I think I'm going to lose too much of the weld, and they're just going to be weak. And then the flex of the truck and bed going down the road in time, they're going to crack and pop off and whatnot. So a little concerned about that. Don't know if going through all the work of putting them in there is really going to be worth it. I don't know how else to do it. I could probably just use some round stock maybe. That's fairly expensive, and it is a ton of grinding. So I don't know if that's any better, and I think that's minimal gains. I like this idea. I just don't think it's worth it. I think's the problem. As far as rigidity, to keep it from basically flexing and oil canning, you know, there is a little bit of flex to it. I could do a flat piece across here. That's easy enough. It's a smooth single radius, shouldn't be a real problem. It's just these side filler pieces that I'm really having trouble with, and I don't know how to fix it. Now I could just run some of that 1-inch square tubing I got from there to there, you know, one up here, one there. That'll make it rigid and should help, but I don't know about this. I don't know if it's going to be worth it to risk it, is what I guess I'm saying. I don't know. I'm going to think on it a little bit. Need to get moving. All this messing around with it's taking too long. I need to cut out the louvers and get them fixed, and fix this fender and the doors. ADAS is done, camera's done. We're about done with the fill pieces other than finish welding. Gas filler's done. I need the gooseneck finished and these other pieces, and then we can finish weld, sand it all down, grind it all down, and get ready to start painting. Really need to get on it. My paint should be here soon, and I got other projects coming in that need my attention. But that's where we're at. All right, so I've been out working. It's been a couple of days for me, even though seconds for you. But we've got some things done. Up front, I decided not to go with those internal pieces for depth. Just wasn't going to be worth the amount of time and effort. So I switched gears, been working on the mount for the Goose, and we got the two side pieces replaced, and leaves me an opening that is 12¼ wide by 13¼ deep. My plate itself that originally came from the bed of the truck is 12 by 12. So when this is in there on the sides, it gives me a decent gap, 1/8 inch on each side, to get a good penetrating weld, and we're going to weld it directly to both of those sides. And then on the ends, these are going to get welded to some additional bracing that's going to go all the way across the bed from channel to channel. And then that channel is getting bolted to the truck through these mounts that we talked about before. These will have a 3/4 inch bolt through them, through the C channel, that we're getting ready to weld the additional structural shapes to. All right, so originally I was looking at using this 1-inch bar stock that was welded to the truck that I took off. And even went to the point I cut the ends off and got it all cleaned up. But I've done some research, and the engineering says that this quarter wall square tubing should actually be stronger than this shape. That in terms of torsion and flex and the things that you deal with when towing a Goose, this should do better. So what I'm going to do, I had some trouble with this one. It's just so thick, getting enough heat in it to ensure that I had a good weld was going to be a real problem. It was a real concern. And with where I'm having to put everything, cutting through the C channel to weld it in, I started looking at it, and I was just going to weaken that C channel too much by cutting and everything, that I wasn't going to gain any real strength. So we're going to utilize this material. I got to get it cut down to length. We're going to get it all cleaned up, and then we will weld it in from inside to inside, and then it will be spaced like this, and this will be sitting like that, basically. And then we will have a full weld all the way down both sides, something like that. If I can, my spring's caught. Come on. It never fails. Come on. There we go. Not frustrated. Not frustrated at all. Nope, nope. Okay. So like that. And then it would be nice if we could plug weld through these holes. So that will be the goal. And then hopefully, if we can get everything lined up, I don't know if these are wide enough. That's my concern. But we'll be able to weld these to the C channel that goes all the way across the bed, both sides. They'll be welded on the ends. This plate will be fully welded down both sides, and then these sides as well to these, and then these will be welded to the C channels, end of them, and should make a very ultra strong gooseneck mount that I'm not worried about running down the road with. I can tell you, it's been running down the road. I've hauled 15,000 pounds on it because originally it just had 4 bolts through this to this plate, and then these were just welded with some 3/8 plate straight to the chassis, and that was it. So I think that this system that I'm coming up with is going to be far stronger. There's more bolts holding it to the truck through the bed. There's more welds holding all of the steel stiff, etc. So let's get everything cleaned up, get it cut, and then start getting it tacked in. Let's get on it. All right, got things tacked in place. At least the lower support beams, I'm gonna wait to do the top plate until after I've got some of these other things welded, just to make it a little easier. But you can see this is how the plate's gonna sit. I'll be able to weld it here along the edge. We'll weld that beam to that one, get fully welded along this side. Along this side should be fully welded along this side and that side, so be plenty strong. These, they get fully welded here, there, down the sides, underneath, on the back sides. And then we got the, I'll take you underneath, we'll show you the beams underneath, but this should be plenty strong. I'll be glad when this one's done. I'm about over it. So underneath we have support beam all the way across. We'll weld across the back side to this C channel, so all of it will be welded. Will be welded on both ends, and then all of this down here gets welded. Kind of hard to show it all to you, so lots of welding to do at this point. On the whole thing, I've still got to finish weld up front. Got to finish weld all of this, and then we got a lot of body working to do. Some dent removal, holes to fill, old covers to weld down, all of that good stuff. But I'm gonna wrap the video for now. The next time you see this, it's gonna be in paint and going on the truck. Should be a big difference. So with that, I'll see you when I'm about done with the bed itself. Alright guys, I said I'd show you the truck when it was done. It's been done for a couple of weeks now. We've done a little bit of traveling with it already, just down to Cocoa and back, which is a couple hours. Towed a gooseneck, towed my regular trailer, all that good stuff, and it's working great. The paint itself, it's okay. I'm not 100% pleased with it. It was difficult to lay down. It was a real learning experience. Does not go down like a gloss at all, and I made some mistakes, but we'll live with them. Overall, it looks way better than it did before, but it's now got the name of the lipstick pig, because that's kind of what we ended up doing. But let me walk you around, show you a couple items, and we'll go from there. So the bumper came out great. By the way, these paint colors, while they are in a flat, did come out to be the exact match for the stock colors. Had I chose them in gloss, you wouldn't have been able to tell the difference at all. If I open the doors, they're perfect. So it is a pearl, and but as I was saying, bumpers came out real well. I ended up with one spot right here and down there where I had a little bit of a run. Oh look, somebody's already scratched it. It's already got a couple of scratches in it. That's all right. All of the fender flares came out really good. Lowers, I did put all the emblems back on it. One of the problems I had, I ended up with a little bit of water coming from my gun, even with all my filters. I have learned since that one of the reasons being my filters on my tank are too close, and I've now put ones out at my reels, which puts them about 50 feet from my tank. I didn't know that. I learned something new. So so now I've got 3 dryers on it, and I need to move a couple. I need to add another tank to. I've got another 80-gallon tank, so I was going to add it, and that'll give me 160 gallons of volume, which will help me keep things, my compressor, from cycling on and off, help cool the air down, all that good stuff. But at any rate, had trouble reaching the hood, so I've got a little bit of overspray and blending problems in the center. Next time I'll take the hood off. I had the same problem up in the center, although it's not as bad. Oh, that's coming off. I did paint the handles, took them off. Big pain in the butt to do. The entire door has to come apart almost down to just the shell. I left the windows in them, but they were disconnected from everything. Both interior panels are taken off. Pretty much everything. Had I had the racks, I could have just unbolted my doors and painted them on racks, and made my life a lot easier with taping things off. The steps, I didn't do anything with the steps. I just bought new plastics for it and new caps and put it all back together. On the bed, you can see we didn't come out too bad. All of this is fairly smooth, but you know, back here where they're welding that was on it previously looks kind of like crap. Gas caps came out fine. All of this isn't horrible. It ain't perfect. Really, I think had we had these pieces in here like I talked about, it would have been better. It would look more finished and whatnot. I did not body work these. I did not fill them and Bondo them and all that. I also did not use a high build primer on it. I just used an epoxy and then put it down. So you can see where the roughness is in the metal, but at the end of the day, it's just going to get beat up. We're going to tow with it and do all that. Shoot, my son today drug the gooseneck across the back of it when we were unhooking the trailer. That's just the way it's going to be. We're going to throw things up there and carry stuff and all that. We're going to make some sides for it, all that good stuff. Back here in the back, I painted these are gloss black. I didn't do the bed liner on them. And then down here you can see we kept the gold to keep it around. Did the same thing, the gooseneck, it's got the gloss black in it, as well as these pieces. And I just did that just to give us a little bit better use out of them. I didn't want to clog it up too much with the bed liner, all that good stuff. And then, yeah, these pieces up front, I forgot to get in here and work them, so they came out a little rough, but whatever, no big deal. So like I said, lipstick pig, that's what she is. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned, we got lots coming up. Got a 72 Ford in here that's getting some work done to it. We picked up a 66 Dodge to work on. I've got things probably going to happen with the rat rod. We got all kinds of stuff happening, so stay tuned.